Mr. Murray's walking in, so 10.
I'm on Mr. Murray time. So we're on. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Morning. Morning.
Welcome to the December 5th Finance Committee meeting. First thing we'll do is a roll call. Joe or whoever's going to do it.
Mr. Rusas?
Here.
Mr. Tamula?
Here.
Mr. Rainey?
Here.
Mr. Nichols?
Here.
Mr. Allen?
Here.
Mr. Stahl?
Yes.
Mr. Moncher?
Here.
Mr. Murray?
Here.
Here. Next, I'll ask for the approval of the September 12th minutes that were sent to you in your package.
I'll make a motion.
The motion made?
Seconded.
Second. Do I need to do a roll call or voice on this?
Either way. Either way.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. So we'll get right into business. Michelle, you ready to lead us through a lot of stuff?
We got a lot of stuff today, guys. I apologize. A lot of good stuff. So the first thing on our list to go over is the rec center. So the city recently received bids for the rec center, and winning bid is going to Janata and Herner. It was awarded at the last city commission meeting. Project cost is $10.8 million. We have some cash that we are throwing into that project, so we are looking to finance $9 million for the rec center. If you recall, with the Cedar Point Partnership in 2021, we obligated $700,000 a year for 20 years to help construct the rec center. So with the figure of $9 million that we're looking to finance, as long as our interest rate is under 4.5%, that $700,000 will be enough to cover the debt payment on a rec center. So that is great news. Currently, we're looking, the interest rate will probably be around 4% when we do some financing. But I just want to kind of run this through with you guys. The commission did approve to award the contract with the line that we need to come back and do some financing. So that's why we're here in front of you guys today to talk about the financing for the rec center. Now, Mr. Mike Cecina, he presented these documents to me yesterday, but unfortunately he wasn't able to be here. He had a procedure where unfortunately you look worse for a couple days before you look better. So we gave him a hall pass, but he did put these slides together, and I'm going to go over with you guys briefly, because I think the biggest question is when the city issues debt, you know, oh my goodness, we have all this debt out there, how are we ever going to afford this? And these slides will just show that absolutely we're living within our means and we're not outside any kind of debt limitation restrictions. So there's indirect and direct debt limitations. This first slide here goes over indirect debt limitations, and this deals with property tax millage. So it's commonly referred as the 10 mil limitation. With the rising property tax valuations, obviously that gives us more leeway and more dollars that we would actually be able to issue debt for if we needed to. Of that 10 mil limitation currently, the city's debt limitation is about 4.5 mils of that limitation. So right now, the remaining millage that we could allow would be almost $50 million in debt. So obviously, issuing a rec center debt for $9 million is not going to be a problem, according to the indirect debt limitation. So we'll go and look at the direct debt limitation. Now this one, it goes a 5.5% debt limitation on unvoted debt, and you can go up to 10.5% limitation if you have voted debt. Either way, they put in everything that we have going on for debt. In the middle of this chart, you'll see total outstanding debt is at $31 million, and that includes when we issue $9 million for the rec center. The rec center is excluded from our limitation because it will be backed by tax dollars. So when you back it by tax dollars, it does not go against your debt limitation for this direct debt limitation. So it gets backed out. So then if you go to the bottom, that $24.4 million limitation figure is if we have unvoted debt. And then the final column is $38.8 million if we needed to have voted debt. So both of those figures, obviously, even issuing rec center debt, we're completely within our means, and we still have capacity of $24 million of additional debt that we could issue that would even be unvoted. So we wouldn't even have to go to the voters to ask for additional debt if we needed it in the future. So I just wanted to have you guys see this so that you know, and as the public asks these questions, we're definitely within our limitation as far as debt.
It means we're not handicapping future commissions and future projects.
Absolutely,
I just want to make sure that that's
absolutely.
known.
And this was just a slide that he put together, and it just shows the blue is the principal amount that we're paying annually, gray line is interest, and you'll see that, you know, have a lot of debt that's falling off in the coming year. So adding the rec center is not an issue. Does anyone have questions on that? We're looking to have a discussion here today, and hopefully a recommendation by this committee to go out and have debt financing for the rec center. The city commission would need to authorize that, and that would be at a future meeting in January.
You're just looking for a recommendation from the committee.
Correct.
Does anybody want to make a motion to recommend that to the city commission?
So moved.
So moved. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second. I'll take a roll call on this one, okay?
Okay.
Please.
Mr. Rusatz?
Yes.
Mr. Talazula?
Yes.
Mr. Rennie?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Or
Yes.
Nichols? Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Stahl?
Yes.
Mr. Montre?
I'll abstain.
Okay.
Conflict of
Ms.
interest.
Reader?
Yes.
Mr. Orsett?
Yes. Give you something to do next week.
All right. Do you want me to go ahead and keep rolling? We'll go into the November financials.
You're the star here this morning.
Great. All right, November financials. So at the end of November, I'm going to make this a little bit larger. All right, here we are for revenue sources in the general fund at the end of November. The blue line is income taxes. You'll see that we took a little bit of a decline in income taxes so far this year, almost $800,000. We are seeing a decline in net profit returns. We have some businesses that have extension, returns haven't been filed. We're hopeful maybe by the end of the year we'll see an increase in the net profit returns, but at this point, that's what we're looking at for the income tax dollars at the end of November. The gray line is the admissions tax. Admissions tax for 2025 is very comparable to where we were in 2023, about $9.7 million. Orange line here is the lodging tax, and that's been pretty stable for the last 3 years.
Admission tax, is that the last one we received for the year, or do we get another one?
We get admissions tax on a monthly basis.
I'm sorry.
We get admissions tax on a monthly basis. So we have one more that will be receipted here at the end by December 25th, Christmas.
Okay. Thank you for reminding me of that.
General fund revenue, total revenue, we're at just over $34 million, comparable to where we were last year in 2024. One of the largest things that we're seeing this year is an increase in our interest earnings. We're up about $173,000 in interest earnings in 2024 in 2025 compared to 2024. That's kind of be coming to an end. So we've had a lot of cash sitting in our account. As we discussed, we had some money sitting there for the rec center. We also will be purchasing City Hall. So this building we've been renting for the last 7 years. That purchase will actually close on that transaction here in December. So that's another $3.5 million that we've been collecting and putting aside, knowing that the day was coming that we would be purchasing this building. So we have those dollars that'll be spent, and we also have the end of the coronavirus ARPA dollars. We had those all pledged by the end of 2024, but we have until the end of 2026 to spend those. So as those cash dollars on hand go away, obviously our interest earnings will also be declining. Here is the expenditures. Let's see. Made it too big. Trying to make it bigger. It's not a happy medium, I guess. All right, so the expenditures, the top slide is year-to-date expenditures by the top 5 departments. The top line at the blue is the administrative support, which also includes our transfers for the year. So we're at $13.1 million as at the end of November. The next 2 lines kind of run parallel. That's our police department and our fire department expenditures. And the bottom 2 lines, the yellow line is municipal court, and the gray line is our horticulture and public realm. If you look at the expenditures in the general fund by category, yellow line is the transfer amount. Again, just for reference, in 2021 is when we had the additional, admissions tax and parking tax due to the Cedar Point partnership. That's why you'll see a large spike in transfers starting in 2022. The blue line at the top is wages and fringe benefits. That line, it has increased. As a reminder, the 2021, 2022, and 2023, and still into 2024, we had ARPA dollars that we were spending on employees. So we lost a lot of employees in 2020 when COVID happened. When we brought those employees back, they were funded by ARPA dollars and not the general fund. The orange line here is contractual services. Not any large increases, but as we know, with the cost of goods and services after COVID, we all saw an increase in those expenditures. The gray line at the bottom is supplies and materials. Feel free to stop me at any time if you guys have questions.
Michelle?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, could you back up a second and help me with the on the income tax or the lodging tax? Is VRBO and home away and those rental services, is that included in that or no?
Absolutely, yes it is.
Okay, so that brings to my next question. Is that up or down? Could you break that out in the future so that we could? No, you can't. So
We don't
let me ask-
have, yeah, it's one line, it's all the same, whether it's an individual residence that's getting charged a transient occupancy tax, or if it's a hotel. It would take a lot of time, but we'd have to look at each individual month and try to break out hotels versus individuals.
I guess where I'm getting at, I think you know where I'm heading in that, because you and I have had the previous conversation, is that I was hopeful that we would go to some automatic set of payments. So in other words, if you book through VRBO or Home Away, your tax would automatically be added to your folio at checkout and then remitted by the taxing authority. And I think you would find that people that were unregistered would all of a sudden become registered, and your receipts would go up. I just think that, is that something that's on the horizon that any further conversations have been had with, or?
We've had conversations with Erie County. So Erie County is actually the one that collects our lodging tax for us, because they collect the county's portion and the city's portion together, and they do it for other jurisdictions also. So it would have to be approved with them first. I can tell you here at the city, we purchased new software last year. It's called Rentalscape. And
What's it called?
Rentalscape.
Okay.
And that allows our code office to look at the registered properties, see how many days they've been rented, and if they're advertising on any of the known websites for Airbnb type of homes. So, and he's found quite a few properties.
That was my next question.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if I could add in, actually had a conversation about it yesterday. So I think we started that back in August of last year. Craig Ward has taken over our code compliance manager position back in October, and he's been really aggressive in looking at the Rentalscape software and comparing it with county's information plus the information on there. I know as of yesterday, he's found 24 properties that weren't in compliance and weren't registered, that notices of violation have been sent out. 6 have come into compliance and had to pay, so they have to pay the $500 registration fee, and then a $500 penalty for not being registered. Those are ones that were registered like back in 23 or 24, then they didn't register again, and then they were continuing to operate. So the software has pretty much paid for itself already, and I think it'll continue to, will capture more people. There's also a large swath at the Chesapeake that had been notified late last year, or earlier this year, of violations. So we're aggressively pursuing that, and with the new software, it'll be very beneficial to keep on top of that.
Mr. Chairman.
I noticed that Mr. Murray pointed out the Cedar Point building is now pretty much transient.
Yeah, most of that's true.
Mr. Chairman, can I make one final comment on my train of thought?
Sure.
I just want to know that I have nothing against VRBO. It's with us, and I just want to make sure that the people that owe us money pay. The people.
More code enforcement.
Yeah, I think the software that Michelle has gone to is going to be beneficial to collecting. I'm doing some math in my head, and you've already collected over $10,000 more in just registration, not even the ongoing income from that. So it's a substantial number. Did you, and I just wanted the people that are watching this to realize that I'm not Craig Stahl is personally not against VRBO. It's here. Let's work with it, but let's also make sure that the city is whole on the expenses that we have and the income we should be receiving. These people need our emergency services. Things need to be paid for, and this is one way to do it. And it certainly forces everyone to have the $500 annual inspection, which will show if something's wrong with the home, and it's a good thing. And it took a lot of time. I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, but this is something I thought that needed to come before this board, and it has.
I think the collection, but I think, Mr. Orzak, your code enforcement is the one that's the key to that. And to try to break that out compared to all of the lodging tax, I think would be a substantial job, if I'm not mistaken, Michelle.
It would take some time.
Mr. Chairman, my thoughts there were only in that it's to show year over year that the efforts and sort of to document that staff is doing a bang-up job. It
I
would
guess,
certainly showcase that immediately. Even if you didn't show it on the income statement, if you at least showed it somewhere and made it available as a footnote, then we would know. I think anytime we can prove that our staff's ideas are working and are for the benefit of all citizens, I think that's a wonderful thing.
I think, Mr. Orzak, that, again, code enforcement is going to have the statistics more probably than the financial. They're going to know who is registered out there and who is not registered, and I think you can put the math to it. If you got 10 people not registered, and you get $500. So I think you can work backwards into that and get an answer that I think would, again, substantiate where we're going.
Yeah, just if we knew, Mr. Chairman, just a note to this committee and to the public that our efforts have
We
resulted
look at
in.
everything. We pull every rock up and
It's beautiful. It's a wonderful thing. Documentation, as you know, in your business is wonderful. So anyway, I'm done. Thank you.
All good comments. And our lodging tax for this year, November of 2025 versus last year, we're up over $30,000. So definitely efforts from the code office has seen an increase in that lodging tax. All right, if no one has any other questions, we'll move on. Here's the chart for general fund.
like I said at the start of it.
General fund expenditures includes our transfer amount. At the end of November, we're just $31.8 million is where we're at, which has been consistently where we've been for the last 3 years. This slide here, Mr. Murray has been been bringing it up as far as looking at this slide a little differently. Previously, we just had the cash balance history on here, and it's a flowing cash balance. As we know, April typically is our lowest point for cash balance in the general fund, just right before the summer months hit, because seasonally, obviously, a lot of our revenue comes in during the summer months. So this slide, we updated it a little bit. The blue at the top is our annual expenditures. So this committee has talked in the past, we want to see our cash balance to be 15 to 20% of our annual expenditures. So as you can see, our expenditures in 2024 were $16.3 million. At the end of 2024, we were at $35 million. So we've more than doubled our expenditures over the years. So obviously our cash balance should reflect that also. So our cash balance you're going to see increase as our expenditures also increase. It's not just this committee, but also Moody's, when they're looking at us for bond ratings, are looking at our cash
The key
balance.
right there, and Moody's, when they did make an appearance here and actually came to the city, said that the fact that we have those cash balances, and Mr. Murray and I have talked about that on the committee for a long period of time, you don't realize what a small fraction of having to pay more interest does to the bonds and whatever. And we've been very fortunate in keeping our rating.
Absolutely.
To me, I think that's a very critical thing as we're going out doing projects. And I want to make sure that, A, obviously we can afford them, and B, if we do have to do debt or however financing, we get the best rates.
Absolutely.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I just want to say thank you to Ms. Reeder for adding that additional line. When you look at this and you see that, well, first of all, the 15 to 20%, that's not an arbitrary number set by this committee. That's just good government.
Yes.
And you can go out on the internet and all sorts of places will tell you that is the gold standard. That's what you should be doing. But when you look at it and you see 15% is 5.1 million and then 20% is 6.8 million, you could misconstrue the green line and say that, well, we're above that 20%. And that's why I appreciate your adding the yearly average cash balance, because ours does ebb and flow a great deal. And we've had points in time where we lose track of that, and we have new commissioners, the public, look at that and say, well, that's $8.8 million that we can spend right now. And of course, it's not. And so it'll be important going forward for this committee to continue to watch that. Thank you.
Agreed, and it was a great suggestion. So the green line is the actual cash balance, and then I think it's like a yellow-orange color underneath is the yearly average because of those flows. So typically in November, we are a little bit above the yearly average, but in December, we have a lot of less revenue, and we do have expenditures that come in at the end of the year. So it's just a better way, I think, to represent where we are as far as the cash balance goes. The last slide here is the number of full-time employees. We have 248 employees at the end of November. Police and fire are our largest employee counts there, and everyone else just trickles on down.
And somewhere in the information that you sent, so that we could stay up at night in, if we have insomnia, we're having a number of retirements in the next short period of time.
2027 looks to be the year that we have a lot of
Okay,
large
27, okay.
retirements. As we move into the budget, I do have information on our workforce, but I can tell you right now,
But we still have the, I'm going to call it the reserve fund that has bailed us out more than once.
absolutely. The payroll stabilization fund is just over $1 million. It's $1,061,000 currently, but December, at the end of the month, is when we'll do the transfer amount. So any person that was paid out in the year, that entry gets made in December. So it will reduce the expenditures in the general fund and put those over to payroll stabilization. So we have 2 more pays yet this year, and then we'll make that entry. But your question, just speaking of the payroll stabilization fund, it's every 12 years that we have a 27th pay instead of the normal 26 pays. We've got 6 more years before that comes up.
Okay.
So it comes up again in 2032, but it'll be here before we know it. And we do currently, I ran this for as of the 1st of 2026, so January 1st of 2026, we have 29 employees with at least 25 years of service. So the police and fire pensions, typically 25 years, personnel in the police or fire department can go after 25 years. The rest of us, it kind of depends on age and work years of service. So we have 30 employees that are age 60 or older as of the first of the year. So I kind of was joking with the city manager, I've got stats all the way down to age 50. So if you go from age 50 up, it's 76 employees out of our 200 and roughly 250 employees. We got 76 employees that are age 50 or older. So we're very grateful to have that payroll stabilization fund to help offset those one-off expenses when people retire or that 27th pay when it comes in.
And you and the city manager will get together at the end of the year and figure out what you want to put in.
Correct. So that'll be in the budget. I do have a slide on the different transfers that we do. If no one has questions on November financials, we'll go into one more thing. I guess before we do this, I forgot, on our agenda, we have to talk about the Benefits Committee. So the Benefits Committee for administrative employees, they meet on an annual basis. So they meet and get a recommendation on what we need to look at for 2026 for raises for the administrative employees. So you'll have that in front of you on your desk there. When we look at this for 2026, there was 37 administrative employees that are eligible for a raise. The Benefits Committee is recommending a 3% wage increase, which is consistent with the police union and the police union and the AFSCME union. The fire union, per their contract, they're going to get a 5% wage increase in 2026. We looked at this, 3% is what the committee recommended. With a 3% wage increase for these 37 employees, it equates to $90,110 in wage increases. We do have 4 employees that are administrative employees, but they have not met their probation period. So when they receive their probation period, they'll get an appropriate raise at that time, but they would not be included in this wage increase for January 1st of 2026. So we're looking at that proposal that came out of Benefits Committee, and then this year, something different. They have a second proposal. On top of the 3% that was discussed for the administrative personnel, we have 3 employees that we'd like to give something larger than 3% increase to these employees effective January 1st. Those employees would be the police chief and the fire chief. And the reason for those, we're looking at a 9% wage increase for those folks starting the first of the year, and that's because their union contracts for their employees that are below them, there's not much of a difference in salary there, plus those employees underneath the chiefs can also get overtime. So we're in that situation where we have people making more than our chief. So the committee looked at this and said a 9% wage increase for a police chief and the fire chief looks appropriate. You'll see their wage salary on the sheets. The third employee that we'd like to look at to give an additional raise to outside the 3% is the assistant law director. She has passed the bar, she's now has a legal degree, and she's really doing a great job. So we're looking to request a 9% wage increase for that employee also. So those 3 employees looking to do a 9%, all the other administrative personnel will receive a 3%. Total cost would put us at $106,726 for the year, and it's something we can afford, and I have plugged that into the budget, but if you guys have a different recommendation, we can make changes to the budget.
Would you like a recommendation from this committee to the city commission to accept, I guess we can do it with both of them at the same time?
Yes.
And,
I will make a motion to recommend to the City Commission approval of the recommendations from the Administrative Benefits Review Committee as discussed.
Second. Let's take a roll on that one.
Mr. Russetts?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Rainey?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
I will abstain with great pride. Thank you.
Mr. Nichols?
Okay. Yes.
Mr. Nichols? Yes. Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Stahl?
Yes.
Mr. Moncher?
Yes.
Ms. Duder?
Yes.
And Mr. Robertson?
Yes.
They should have abstained. Michelle should have abstained as well.
All right, so the last thing we have is the 2026 budget. How do I put that in presenter mode?
Voted for himself, right?
View.
Why not? That's what was-
from the beginning?
Yep. Thank you. All right, thanks, Tom. So 2026 budget, it's already here. Feel free, as always, to stop me with any questions you guys have as we go through this. Same outline as we've done in the past. Just for review, the 2026 budget, the first draft was released on November 1st. You guys received a copy of it. It is our first draft of the budget. It was available on our website. We have made small changes to it since then. We're hearing it today at Finance Committee, and then the City Commission will have to do a temporary budget at their last meeting of the year in 2025 so that we have an operating budget to work with effective January 1st for the new year. We have 3 new city commissioners coming in January, so they'll hear the budget for the first time at their first meeting in January. They'll hear it again, assuming the second meeting in January, or after the first meeting, they can set a different date if they want more time to review it. It just needs to be approved before the end of March. So we'll have the temporary budget in place, we'll be operating, and then City Commission at their will can approve the full budget for the year. Wage increases, as we just discussed, we're looking at 3% for administration, the police and AFSCME unions. Fire, per their contract, they'll receive a 5% wage increase. Revenue figures will always be conservative, and then this does not include everything for the capital plan. The capital plan will come back. It'll probably be done, I'm guessing February, maybe March, we'll see. But as soon as we can get the capital plan together, we'll get that together and get it in front of you guys also.
Because our next meeting's in February.
Correct, February 20th, I believe.
I know.
So,
I made sure I changed it.
perfect. All right, so looking at revenue for 2026, far column shows our estimate of what we have in the budget. So we got $33.7 million in estimated revenue for 2026. The column right next to it, you can see as of 2025, December 1st, we're right at $34 million. So next year, as we already discussed earlier, I have an estimated decrease of $800,000 in there for interest income. For the reasons we've talked before, is we're using some of the cash that we had on hand. They'll get applied to projects here, most of them this year. We also will see a small decline in property taxes next year. There was a change at the county where the homestead and owner-occupied credits will be increased. Next year will be the first year. It was estimated to be about $100,000 that we'll lose in property taxes. But until the year's completed, we really won't know the true actual number because it's an application process that people have to go through to get those credits. But that was the estimate from the county. So our revenue, as stated, is $33.718 million, and our expenditures are just going to be at about $10,000 less than that. We'll be at $33,707,000. So everything that you'll see in the budget today is definitely affordable, and we're living within our means. This slide shows the general fund revenue breakdown. Green is our income taxes. So income taxes there make up about 41% of our general fund revenue. $13,742,000 is the estimate in income taxes for 2026. The blue piece of the pie there is our admissions tax. It's another 28% of our revenue for the year. We're $9.45 million. Those two pieces of the pie there are, nearly 70% of all the revenue that we take in. As you go around, the departmental revenue, that's the revenue that's collected. Mostly police department, fire department, and municipal court collect revenue for their department. That's another 11% of our budget. Property taxes, lodging taxes, local government, interest earnings, parking tax make up the final pieces of that pie. Altogether, again, $33,718,110 is the estimate for next year. Moving on, looking at expenditures, this is not just the general fund, this shows every single fund. There's 2 slides to show all the funds. You really would be hating me if I tried to put it on one slide, and I think maybe even we might have to go to 3 slides in the future to make it a little more legible. But this lists every fund. At the top, general fund, the far blue column is the 2026 budget. So again, we're $10,000 less in expenditures than estimated revenue for next year. There's not a lot of things that are changing in the budget this year over next year. I kind of can just highlight a couple of the different funds that you're seeing a change. General fund is pretty consistent. That street department fund, you'll see in 2026, we have $5.4 million compared to previous years. In 2024 right now, budget is $3.1 million. I can tell you that is an anticipation of this next Monday meeting at Commission. They're going to be approving the Cleveland Road Safety Project, which is also known as the Roundabout. So that's coming. And since I know it's coming, I went ahead and put it in the 2026 budget because that's going to be happening before the capital plan even is finalized for next year. So that project is a 95-5 split with ODOT. Some portions of it are 90% and 10%, but generally 90% or more will be paid from the state, and our portion is very minimal. So it's a $3.7 million project, so that is in here for next year already. Going down, I think the next one that you'll see a change is 228, which is the Recreation Center Fund. We haven't been expending anything out of that fund. The dollars you see there in the previous years, $11,000 was spent in 2024. That was the first year that we collected that property tax levy. The property tax levy for the Recreation Center is for the operation of the rec center. We had the Cedar Point admissions tax dollars to build the rec center. Now we have that property tax levy to operate the rec center, which is very important, very critical. So we've been collecting the property tax dollars. We have not spent that. The expenditures that you see is the cost of the county to collect property taxes. So every dollar that they take in for us, there's a small fee that we have to pay back to them. So those are the fees that we've paid in 2024 and 2025 were the property tax collection fees. Going forward in 2026, we know we're going to need equipment. We're going to need exercise equipment and fixtures for the new rec center. So that is budgeted at this moment. It'll change as we go through, but we know that rec center does have a 15-month completion timeline. So that'll be starting here real soon in the new year. And so with the 15 months, we're going to need to get ordering exercise equipment and furniture and things like that. So that is in the budget for next year. If we go down, the next one is state grants, which is fund number 239. You'll see a decrease in 2026 due to, at this moment, I don't know of any large grants that are coming in. This year, we did have the landing had a significant $3 million that we were granted from the state to help with the landing project. And then the other large project that we had this year, and it will continue on into 2026, is the Welcome Home Ohio program, which is bringing some housing to the community. And that was a $3.5 million grant that we're working through and spending currently. If you go down to fund number 241, which is the federal grants, you're going to see a large decrease. So in 2026, we have just under $1 million that's budgeted in grants. And this year we had a lot more. We had a $5 million project that helps with the pathway going from the causeway all the way out to the sports center. So we had a $5 million grant that we're working through on that project, and they're making some progress. We will not have that grant again in 2026. The last one at the bottom I want to point out, Fund 249, is the One Ohio opioid settlement. So this has been a class action lawsuit over the last couple years. We've been accumulating revenue and just kind of foreseeing that at some point we're going to be spending down some dollars in there. We have about $240,000 in that fund right now, and there's a lot of rules and regulations that was set when that class action lawsuit started that we'll be spending those funds on appropriate purpose in the future. Here's the second half of all of our funds that we have for the city. The top two are capital projects. 431 is capital improvement, 431 is capital projects. That 431 fund, you'll see a significant decrease into next year. One of the largest things that we're doing this year that we're not going to have next year is the purchase of City Hall. So we have $3.5 million that we're expending this year to purchase City Hall. Obviously, it's a one-time expenditure, so you'll see a decline in expenditures as far as what we know is happening at this moment.
Michelle, if I may,
Absolutely.
can I assume then we've reduced our lease expense, obviously, for 2026 forward?
Correct.
And I noticed on the FTE report, there's one maintenance person. Is that still going to be appropriate when we own the building? Or are we going to have to look at staffing to maintain the building?
I believe staffing will remain the same because we've still done general maintenance items that were needed at this building. Fund 437 is Cleveland Road Public Improvement, which is the TIF out at the sports center area. You'll see a large increase. That is because the landing project is ongoing. So they've started it, and you see some movement out there. That project will continue in 2026. Water and sewer funds, Fund number 612 and 613, you're going to see a large decrease in the sewer fund for next year. That is the high-rate treatment project. So that's been an ongoing project at our sewer plant, over a $30 million project. It's finally coming to an end. We might have the final change order here to commission by the end of the year or first part of the new year to finally wrap up that project. All in for 2026, all funds, the budget is $121,830,155, comparable to where we ended in 2024 as far as the budget number. Does anybody have any questions on individual funds? This slide here looks at just the general fund. So as you all know, general fund supports a lot of our municipal operations. It supports the police department, the fire department, municipal court, finance, law director, city manager, and then all of our administrative support, which is the transfers that we talk about on a regular basis. So 2025 budget versus 2026, you can see the numbers there. I don't think there's really anything notable of changes in here. The administrative support at the bottom, the very last department would be, those numbers change. So as we have, if there's additional revenue that comes in and transfers are needed to a different fund, the administrative support number would change and we would do budget amendments along the way. That far column kind of just tells you, okay, how much of the general fund budget do each of these departments use? Police department and fire department, they're both at 19%. So obviously combined, they're about 40% of the general fund budget. And then that administrative support department, they're 32% of the budget. So those three departments make up almost 3/4 of the general fund budget for next year. All right, so this slide looks at transfers, budgeted transfers out of the general fund to other departments and other activities. We put on here 2024, 2025, and 2026 because there has been some changes on some of these, and I just think it's worthy to note. The first one is transit. So you'll see in 2024, it was $750,000 that we were subsidizing transit. That has been greatly reduced in 2026. We're down to $400,000 is the planned transfer. So they've looked at the operations at the transit facility. They're made changes to the hours. They've made adjustments to contracts, kind of trying to reel that back in. They've reduced hours and really have done a good job of making that department a little more efficient. Park and Rec is the next group there. They were at $275,000. Again, they're doing a good job. We've reduced that transfer amount in 2026 down to $250,000. They do get some revenue for the programs that they do. It's just not enough to cover everything that's needed for all the activities that they put on. Public art is the next group there. Now that one's set by ordinance. Public art by ordinance gets 1% of the previous year admissions tax. So the budgeted number is the same. It'll fluctuate, it might be $103,000 that they get at the end of, when it all settles out, but we budget the same number and we'll make the appropriate adjustment. Programming dollars works the same way as public art. They get 10% of the previous year's lodging tax. So as we see an increase in lodging tax, more programming dollars will be shifted their way. You'll see in 2024, it was $205,000. For 2025 and 2026, it's remained $225,000. And again, it has to be exactly 10%. So we'll make that adjustment when we have the final numbers. Next ones are housing grants and economic development grants and loans. Those numbers have remained the same, $400,000 for housing and $500,000 for economic. It says grants, but we did change that. They are more of a loan program, not so much of a grant. So there is requirements on paying dollars back, given certain criteria. Issue 8 projects, so you'll see $1.5 million, and that was part of the deal in Issue 8. It's been around for a long time. No changes to that. Next group of dollars that we transfer are for the emissions and parking tax. There's no changes to the budgeted amount. It's $4.5 million, and that was the increase in property parking tax and emissions tax with the Cedar Point partnership, and there's all the different areas that those funds get split out. Fire pension, they're $895,000, but police pension is only $795,000, and that's not because we have more fire personnel than police. That's the pension rate for the fire department is 24% set by the state. Police is at 19.5% that the city has to contribute for their pension. There has been talk that
Excuse me, for both those, Mr. Zeka, we pretty much hired up in both the police and fire, so
Yeah, we're at full staff at fire, and I think police might be down one.
but I mean, you've got full staffing figured into that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. They're completely budgeted for 2026. So that's the difference in the amount that gets funded to the fire pension and the police pension. It's just the rates that are required for their pensions are different. There is legislation that keeps popping back up to make police pension the same as fire pension. So I assume one day police pension probably will be at the same rate, 24% that the fire department has. And then the last column there is payroll stabilization. So 2024, we planned $175,000. 2025, it was budgeted for $150,000. Next year, we increased that to $200,000 just for the known
27.
2027 that will be here. So at the bottom there, 2024, the total amount of budgeted transfers was $10.1 million. In 2025, it's $9,845,000, and then what we're seeing right now for 2026 is $9,770,000 that we're budgeting for next year. So it's been a little bit of a decrease, as noted. You know, some of those departments, the transfer dollars are no longer necessary. They've done some efficiency programs within that department. Here's a list of full-time employees by department. So it goes all the way back to 2022, 2023, 2024, and 2025 are listed there. The far right column is what we have budgeted for 2026. So again, 53 police officers are budgeted, which is full force for them. Fire department, they are at full force, and we have budgeted 51 fire personnel. Highlighted in blue, those are the only ones that are changing for budgeted numbers in 2026 compared to where they were at in 2025. You'll see a change for BIWW is Big Island Waterworks, so that is our water plant. They asked for an increased personnel for plant maintenance. This is to backfill. It's more of a succession plan. They have 2 plant maintenance people that have been there for a long time looking to retire. We need to be able to get somebody else in there to train along with those folks before they leave. Our city manager, he's down an employee and he's managing. In 2025, we had the DEI position who voluntarily, he left in 2025. We are not looking to backfill that position, so you'll see a decline in personnel and city manager. They'll have 3 for next year. And the courts currently, they have an extra person in there. They've had an extra person here since midsummer. There's a lot of changes going on at the court come the first of the year. There's a position in there when the new judge gets here. It's going to take some time, but he'll analyze and look at that. But at the moment, there is a personnel in there above what they had for the last 2 years, but 11 personnel is what the municipal court had in 2022 and 2023. So, and we'll make sure that their revenue in the municipal court is comparable to what they're expending, so we'll keep an eye on that. So total personnel in 2026, we're looking at 256 employees, and that's to be 1 more than what we budgeted in 2024 and 2025. All right, and the last slide here is the historical general fund expenses and cash balances. The gray bar represents what we have in general fund expenditures, and the blue line at the bottom, as we talked before, the fund balance has increased over the years as our expenditures have increased. For 2026, we're looking at $33.7 million in expenditures, comparable to where we ended 2024. We were at $34.8 million. Right now, in 2025, you'll see expenditures are $31.8 million. So we have a targeted reserve at the end of 2026 to be $6.7 million if we can hit the 20% of what we plan to expend for the year. And that's all I have. Happy to answer questions.
Okay. Question, I have one, but you got any specific questions on the budget? Mr. Thomasolo, I hope and pray that you have perfect weather. It doesn't rain. It's not miserable. You have a great opening all the way through next October with Halloween weekends. Now, having said that, the elephant in the room is I think everybody has read the paper and, again, I hope everything works perfect for you.
Me too.
I want to make sure that that is understood, and it appears that have you and the city manager looked at any kind of contingent things? I know a couple other organizations who I'd share. We've got something in the back of our mind that if it's down 1%, 2%, 5% or something, what we're going to be doing.
We would have a plan B
I don't
if
necessarily
needed, but I can tell you, there's been a lot of talk, and things are good. I mean, our admissions tax this year is up $142,000. So
I appreciate that, yes.
we of course would make adjustments as needed if we see, or as we know of anything that's coming in, we'll make adjustments. We'll make sure we live within our means.
I will accept a motion that we send this budget or approve it to send it to the city commission for their approval. I think that's what we need to do. Can I have?
So moved.
So moved.
I'll second.
Second. Sally, I'm going to make you work today.
All right. Mr. Rusett?
Yes.
Mr. Thomasolo?
Yes.
Mr. Ring?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Nichols?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Stahl?
Yes.
Mr. Montre?
Yes.
Ms. Reed?
Yes.
And Ms. Wolf?
Yes.
Thank you guys very much. At the bottom of your agenda, we did have the proposed meeting dates for 2026 on there. I'll send out calendar invites. I say thank you to everybody for volunteering and remaining on this committee. And sadly,
I was gonna say,
Mr. Murray,
I have to wish Mr. Murray
still welcome.
this for a long time, and
Well, I've enjoyed my time here, and I've enjoyed serving with all of you. And this has been a really important committee for the city. 12 years ago, you were here and said we're at the bottom and we're in a bad place. And the last person here turned out the lights. It was a very bad place, and you were rightly cautious and warned the city that we were not going in the right direction. 12 years later, we've doubled our expenditures in absolute dollars, not in real dollars. And just a comment on that, because you all have been stewards of the money that we spend, and the commission's been a steward of the money that we spend, but we spend the money. And we've accomplished a lot in 12 years. And the austerity measures that some governments want to force upon all of us is the wrong way to look at the world. The citizens of our community want the services that we provide. The citizens of our community want the capital improvements that we've been able to accomplish over the last 12 years. That's important. That's why people are drawn to Sandusky. That's why people want to live here. And we know over the long course of history that people move to where they want to live, employers follow. And so we're moving in the right direction. And I just would urge us to continue to support improvements to our community, both capital projects and services, and not fall in the trap of saying that the only thing to do is to cut and have a bare bones government. That's not what people really want in the end, and that's not what we've delivered. So thank you for
and
that.
that's what we heard loud and clear a number of years ago.
Yep, we did.
One of us is old. So, anything else that anybody in the commission, and then under old business, I don't see anybody out there, but I suppose I still have to say public participation. Anything? Okay. Again, Michelle told us about the dates that she and I went over and look good, so.
Al, if I may, I'd like to make a motion, we go into executive session for personnel discussion.
Second.
What was that?
Go into executive session.
Okay. Yeah, I have a motion and a second. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Rousseau?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Raymond?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Nichols?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Stahl?
Yes.
Mr. Moncher?
Yes.
Ms. Reader? Yes. John?
Okay,
Yes.
we are now in executive session. Could you, okay, that's, I was getting ready to wave at you. Go back out.
You still have to vote.
Motion to adjourn.
No motion to go out.
Okay, we're back on. We're live. So again, I want to thank
You want to make
everybody.
you need to make a motion to come out of
That's
executive
what I asked
session.
you.
Yes.
Okay,
Second.
okay.
I assume Craig
Roll
made that
call.
motion.
Again,
Roll call again. Okay, Mr. Rousseau?
Yes. Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Nichols?
yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Stahl?
Yes.
Mr. Moncher?
Yes.
Ms. Reader? Yes. Mr.
We're out of executive session. We're back into the live session, and thanks, Stuart, for keeping me.
There's two of them.
So, if anybody have anything else, if not, I would like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a great New
Yeah,
Year.
because I want to put those.
It's been another one of those years that
Thank you. We did good.
it's satisfying doing things on a positive note, as Mr. Murray has indicated. We've been both ends of the spectrum, and this end of the spectrum I like a whole lot more.
Chairman, before you rush to an adjournment, I didn't get out of bed this morning to sit through this whole presentation explicitly. I got out of bed because I have the honor these last weeks or months of our time in office, Mr. Murray's time in office, and my time in office, to thank a lot of people. This committee gets a big thank you. Some of you have been here longer than I have, or longer than Mr. Murray has. I think, Mr. Nichols, you have, and certainly Mr. Stahl has, and maybe Mr. Moncher also. So thanks for what you've done. I don't have to remind any of you that we've been through some good times and we've been through some bad times. About 5 minutes after landing in the center seat of this commission, we entered into a 100-year pandemic, and we slugged our way out of that, thanks to all of you. So I'm proud of the position that we leave this commission in financially. It is mind-boggling that we have literally, as Mr. Murray said, we've doubled our revenue, not in real dollars, but we've doubled our revenue, and we've been able to pass those additional dollars off to our residents in the form of services. And I will also reiterate what Mr. Murray alluded to, or maybe spoke more directly to, is there seems to be a passion right now on certain in certain political spheres to roll taxes back or give tax money back to our residents. We all love a tax break. Let's face it. We all like to have more money in our pockets to spend on goods and services. But the reality is, I think that I learned this a long time ago. When you spend $1 million a year paving a road, it doesn't show up much when you have 105 miles of roads to pave. But when you spend $1 million a year for 10 or 15 years, you find out you have very good roads. I think that's the same thing that can happen on this tax rollback. You won't notice it the first year or 2 years, but eventually you're going to deplenish the services and hurt the services that we're passing on to our residents. We're all going to regret that at some day. I just hope that our residents catch on that there is no free lunch. We've proven that time and time again. Residents appreciate the services they have. They want to know when you dial 911 that the cops are coming or the fire department's coming. They want to have good roads. They want to have good sewer and water. And that's what our taxes are paying for. That's my soap opera for today. The reality of my purpose of my being here is to applaud our finance department. They do a marvelous job. Our city managers do a marvelous job. So many of our staff do a marvelous job. But you folks play in a really unheralded role because we do run by you those things that are really important, our finances. And you've been supportive of the direction we've taken. I hope that many of you stay right where you're at because you put our city in a good spot. Thanks for what you're doing.
Thank you, Mr. Brady.
Thank you, Mr.
So, Mr. Murray,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
put you under the gun and ask you a question.
All in favor?
Aye.